This is your second Dáil election to stand for Labour.
Yeah.
And why have you decided to stand?
Okay, well, maybe if I could just recap on why I stood in the first one in the first place. I was a secondary school music teacher, had over 25 years experience teaching music, and wasn't involved in politics on any kind of a national or even a local level with a capital P, but I was involved with disability groups. I was involved very much in the education areas, in my own field, and throughout. And I was on various committees and associations trying to support and enhance the life of people with a disability. I was approached by the Labour Party about 3 weeks before the last general election and asked to stand. And when I thought about it, I said, there is no other woman on that page. We need a voice. And where I first kind of thought, I wondered why and how would I do it, and that when I looked at it, I said, well, there's no point in people saying, oh, I'm giving out about other people and giving out about things. And I said, well, you know what, I have nothing to lose. I can put it out there and hope to raise awareness of what is needed in the areas that I was familiar with, which were disability and education. And also, I suppose, I knew what it was like trying to rear a family with, at that stage I had 5 teenagers, and so I was at various stages throughout the education field, and I decided, I will stand. So I did, and I must say I caught the bug very, very quickly, and it is a bug.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Stood, and where I didn't get elected, I got huge, tremendous personal satisfaction from the fact that I got a good vote, an excellent vote. I got 4,500 first preferences and was eliminated on just under 7,000. So following that then, I was extremely fortunate to be appointed to Shanna Darren, something that I was not expecting. I was actually in my classroom at break time, and when I got a call. So I kind of jumped at that chance because I had caught the bug and kind of thought, well, where do I go from here?
Right. Okay. Now, as you said, this is your second time to stand for Labour. Yeah. You were appointed to the Senate then, so you have experience in running for elections and being in the centre of power, so to speak. All of that you did before the gender quotas were introduced.
Yeah.
So do you think they're necessary?
I think looking at it, I think women are well able, Peter, and this is my own personal view, I think women are well able to represent people on their own merits. I think we're well and truly able to stand up. Certainly my experience has been since I've gone into Shanna Darren that I've seen that politics at the moment definitely is very much a man's world. Looking at the hours, I think, first of all, I think that's what has tended to put a lot of women off being involved in politics on a national level. When you look at the long hours that we work, and we do work extremely long hours, and there's no such thing as saying I will be home at 6 o'clock or I will be home at 7 o'clock. You're lucky if it's 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
Right.
And there is nothing definite in it. But in terms, I definitely think we need more women in it. But whether there should be a strict policy of we need such and such, or so many women, I think we need the best people for the job, be that men or women.
Okay, so you've been on the campaign trail, unofficially I'm assuming at this stage now in and around Louth, and of course you're very much in touch with the people in Louth. What would you identify as the main issues coming up in this election for the people of Louth and Eastmeath?
I think, as you said, we've been working on it from, as somebody said to me, the day that you enter Leinster House, you start your campaign for the next round, and that's certainly been the way. I have most definitely been in touch with people throughout all of Louth and Eastmeath over the last 5 years, the quickest 5 years of my life, I must say. And I think, the issues that come up are issues that come up every single day. I think the housing issues would certainly be one that I deal with on an ongoing basis. Disability, because that is my field, huge disability issues which continue, and education. The trolley crisis, of course, and medical, the overcrowding in the hospitals, they would be the 4 main ones, I think, that have come. Plus, a lot of medical cards. I would deal with a lot of people who are looking for medical cards, and rightly so, I feel, when they've got a serious illness.
Okay. Now, all of those issues, there have been issues over the last 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer. You've been part of the government in those ways, albeit as a senator, a government senator for those last 4 to 5 years. So how do you think you've advanced the cause of those issues in that last 5 years?
Okay, well, maybe if I start with education, you know, and again, there is constant need for improvement, and there is constant need, and there have been serious cutbacks, and we all acknowledge that on things. And I know things that I certainly would rather have wished had never happened, and I have been kind of fighting the whole way along to try and undo those, if you like, or to improve them. And I think that this year, when we look, I've just completed a report on the role of the SNA, the special needs assistants in schools, and I look at, you know, I think now we've got an increase in the number of special needs assistants. 11,800 we're at now, so there has been a big increase in those in the last year. That's not to say that, you know, I appreciate that numbers were cut, but we are at the highest level now. There are also 600 teachers, additional teachers, including classroom and resource teachers that are there. Would I like to see the reinstatement of career guidance? Yes, absolutely. You know, I think it was put into the domain of the principals to ascertain what way they wanted to allocate their teachers. You know, I want to see the best standard for everybody that are there in school. But I think if you look at even the buildings, and that is something that I pushed for from day one, to make sure, because I think children will learn best in an environment that is safe and warm and up to date. And I think when we look at County Louth, we really have been very lucky with the schools that have been built in the last number of years, and the future schools that are in the pipeline. Louth has done extremely well in this area.
Yeah. Now, those areas that you mentioned are areas that are obviously very close to your heart and close to your work as well. While a lot has happened in the last 5 years, it's been a difficult 5 years for government, but it's been a very difficult 5 years for people as well. The mantra that appears to be coming from Labour and Fine Gael is that things are turning and you need us again to keep things turning in the right direction. That's a similar mantra to what we heard in the 2007 general election, maybe even the 2002 general election. So what's going to be different about this next, if it is to be next Fine Gael Labour government?
Well, absolutely. I think, I mean, you know, if you look at the work that has achieved, and I mean, everybody knows, you know, the political situation, and we can all, you know, come out and say yes, when we came in, the country, you know, really was in a dreadful mess, and the tide has started to change. You know, there's still a long way to go, but I think the process has been started. I think we're on the right road. Our country is now the fastest growing economy in Europe, and I think that if we have the chance to continue the work in this area, that everybody will see the fruits of this over the next 5 years.
But a lot of people will say that's we might very well be the envy of other countries, but we're still paying, albeit reduced, we're still paying USC property tax, water charges, and so on and so on and so on. People see the increase in employment, or particularly the decrease in unemployment. Most people view that as because people are leaving the country. There's a lot of talk, and maybe even statistically the economy might be improving. A lot of people still aren't feeling that, though.
I agree with you. A lot of people aren't feeling it, but I think even the general run, you know, with people that I spoke with in the week coming up to Christmas, who kind of said, you know, for the first time ever, we're just they're not, you know, they haven't got loads of money at their disposal, you know, some have, but there just wasn't quite that pinch. I totally appreciate, yes, many people have not felt it, and there are additional burdens on people that are there, but I do think that you know, it is turn. It's a long process. It's not going to suddenly turn from the way that we were to go back to those days. It's a long process. I think we've learned an awful lot in the intervening years, and I certainly hope that the crisis that we had, you know, prior to the Fine Gael Labour government, I certainly hope that we will never, you know, reach that again. But I do think, you know, that it is turning.
Okay, so what do you think we've learned, though, Mary? Because as I was saying, the mantra that's coming out is it's almost like a lot done, more to do, that we heard in either the 2002-2007 election. And 2007 was particularly, it was voiced at that time that there may be difficult times ahead and that we need Fianna Fáil and the PDs to guide us through it. Now we're hearing that we are, and we have made a lot of recovery, and we need Fine Gael and Labour to finish the job. It's a similar kind of thing, and it might look to some people as if nothing has changed, because people still keep looking at property prices increasing and you know, this an influx of jobs. What would you say are the key lessons then of your 5 years in government as part of Labour and Fine Gael?
Well, I think first of all, I think the primary thing that we need to do, yes, is to invest in our young people. I think the future of every country, depends on the young people coming in here, and I think there have been huge inroads in our investments, in putting investments. I know that this year, I worked hard to ensure that second preschool year that we have education for parents. So many parents have taken up now on this parent and toddler courses. We have excellent programs like Genesis and early education years and building. And I think that's what we need to do, is invest in our young people, invest in it so that as they grow older, that things are in place for a brighter future for them. And I think we're well on that way. We're well on the way if you look at even the investments that are coming into our town. And yes, people will say a lot of people have emigrated. Unfortunately, yes, a lot of our best people have emigrated, and I've seen that myself through working in schools, in areas where you see, and I think, that people have now realised it, or I hope have realised it, because I've flagged it often enough, and that every effort will be made to bring them back and offer realistic salaries, right, to give them the reasons to come back to our country. And I do think even, we all heard media reports over the Christmas holidays with people coming back to Ireland who have now decided, and I've met several of them, who have now decided to take that leap and come back.
Now, one of the government's campaigns to bring people back was into the HSE and into nursing. The nurses organisation themselves said that they wanted 5,000 places. Additional places. The current programme is offering 500. Yeah. So far the uptake has been about 75 for people who've got across line 75. From that alone, and it's not looking at everything, it doesn't look like people are in a hurry to come back.
But that's what I'm saying, Peter, that I think that I think people are, when they've moved over and they've got great benefits and great jobs, yes, why, and you say, why would they come back for less of a salary or less of benefits? And that's where I think we need to match it. If we really are serious about getting our young people back, we need to ensure that the packages are in place to cover them back. It's something that I have raised in terms of disability, and as I said, I've seen my own past pupils come back to me, and now this was prior to when I was still at school teaching prior to 2011, but I've seen past pupils come in and say to me, we're qualified as a speech therapist, I now am heading to Australia, I'm heading there, and you go, because I know in the disability that's something that we badly need in our communities, and it broke my heart to see people like that heading off, the cream of our country, if you like, leaving. But I think to entice them back, we need to make sure that we entice them back into a work ethic, a work environment that is going to be 100% sustainable, and give them the opportunities to come back and have the same experiences here.
Now that would require a big change though, wouldn't it? Because it's one of the complaints a lot of people have had. Say people who've moved to the States, they say that if you work hard there, you get rewarded. If you work hard in Ireland, you don't appear to be rewarded. It also requires a big culture change too, doesn't it, as well? If those salary packages are to be there.
Oh, I think so, and I know that it's something, again, that I've raised with Minister Kathleen Lynch in areas here in our own area where medical people, the posts have not been filled. And, you ask the question, why has the post not been filled? And you get, well, we can't get somebody suitable, and we're trying to recruit here and we're trying to recruit there. And, to me, that's not the end of it. You don't take it just because that's not there. I think we need to get up and we need to look and we need to, make that effort to come back and to put the systems in place. I don't see any reason why we can't. If we need to change it, absolutely we need to change it. But we need to, if we are to improve and improve, which I am constantly doing, trying to improve the lives for people with a disability and their families, that's the type of thing we need to do.
Okay. Now, to turn to Irish Water for a moment, Louth apparently has one of the lowest number of people registered, which in turn would mean it would have the lowest number of people who've paid their water bill. Is Irish Water doomed? Does it have to be scrapped at this stage?
I mean, I think that this has been ongoing now for many, for the last number of years. I still do think that if we want, we're the last country in Europe, not to pay for clean, healthy water. I know I've been shocked looking at reports and looking at things of the state of our pipes, at the leakage, because it's something that I've always said. How come in a country that is so wet every winter or every summer we have 5 dry days, and the next thing you hear of water shortages all over the country? Why is that? It's because of our bad piping system. It's because of our bad leaks. So I think, yes, that we do need to get a proper water system, and to do that we do need to pay for it. Was it the whole thing set up very badly? Absolutely, I agree. I think that it certainly turned a lot of people off. I think if maybe people had been more upfront at the start, if they had been more clear, I think if there was more clarity at the very start of what was to be done, how it was to be done, and set up better, I don't think we would have had the anger. Because I can absolutely empathise with the anger that is felt by some people out there who see it as another bill. But at the same time, I would still defend the need, the need to have it.
Right. So water charges and Irish Water are here to stay.
I think so. I think that's the way that we've moved forward. I think that is, if we are to have a sustainable and a proper, modern water system. Yes, I think so.
Okay. Now, your constituency colleague, your party colleague, Junior Minister Nash, increased the minimum wage to $9.15. Is that not a little bit soon, would you say, for small businesses to be paying that? There are two sides to it, and I feel like I'm looking at it from both sides, which is good, I think, and this is what you need to do. Absolutely, I have, somebody a daughter who's a student who works very part-time and who works for, below that and does the hours and is absolutely, we need as much money. And yes, I think if you can afford to pay it, yes, it needs to be there. On the other hand, I've got a husband who has a very small business. Right. And who has 2 employees who kind of would say, I can't afford to pay, right. To pay this. So I can most definitely see both sides. Right. Yeah. They're not working below minimum wage now, are they?
No.
The student.
No.
The students.
Oh no. Yeah.
Just to clarify, some students, yes. Yeah. But of a certain age, there is certain different rates for minimum wage.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely, yeah. Great. Okay, now just from looking at your site, I can appreciate that, as happens, you have a candidate that will stand in the north of the county, someone in the south of the county. They appeal to voters there. Most of your site and work that you've done is very Dundalk based. So is there anything there for people from Drogheda or RD to vote for?
Oh my God, absolutely, Peter. I think I was one and to the foremost for many issues in Drogheda, primarily being the one to save the Dominican Church in Drogheda, where I have campaigned vigorously with the people of Drogheda to save this church that has been there for over 900 years, and as part of that, I initiated with several of the other committee members. We walked from Drogheda to Tala to meet with the head of the Dominican order, to try and get some resolution. Word was that it would be closed by this time, by this year. Thankfully, I think our stance on the matter and our campaign to save the church has greatly delayed that. I would be very much involved with schools right throughout the county, and a lot of schools in Drogheda. I'm delighted that I must say, tens of thousands, I'd say at this stage, of students throughout the county who have visited Leinster House, who I've gone to meet in Drogheda, in RD, in Dunleer, in Collin, right throughout the county. I've really got to know the county, so I would say I am equally active throughout the county.
Okay, good. Now, as we know, this is centenary year from 1916, and also just recently in December, Dundalk had its own tragic anniversary, the 40th anniversary of the bombing of Dundalk. Still nobody's been charged or held responsible for those bombings in Dundalk. To try and take those two together, because they're both connected in some way with the border, north and south of the border, how should they be remembered? How should the people of Dundalk get justice for what happened, and how should 1916 be remembered this year?
I mean, that's an excellent point, and it's something I think we all on the 19th of December stopped to think that yes, this was going on. These are issues that as that I have raised as a member of the Good Friday Committee, and I know that we have had meetings with them. I've also had meetings with Justice for the Forgotten, to try and get exactly what it says on the tin, to get justice for these people. I think this year, as we move into the centenary, I think we need to stop. We need to put a special emphasis on the part that Dundalk and the people from here have played in the 1916 Rising. Right. And I know that I've spoken with some people who are members of surviving family members. At that excellent exhibition that's down in the museum, who are eager to participate, and I look forward to the launch now, the Louth County Council launch during the week.
Right. Okay. And in terms of remembering 1916, I mean, there seems to be, I won't call it a campaign, but a movement or a piece of thought from certain areas that we should almost try to dampen it down and just kind of see it as something that happened and don't upset the neighbours.
Oh, I don't think so. I think that certainly I think there's a huge sense of pride. I think the programme that's been aired on RT at the moment, Rebellion, I think it's very good in educating our young people. I know it's something that I do when every school group comes to Leinster House. I make sure that they get a proclamation, and this year I think that proclamation is particularly special. It's something that I would encourage again. A lot of our young people that, most of them now have no recollection of either the Troubles and a time of the Troubles in the North, or, we're talking to great-grandparents at this stage, to look back to events of 1916. So I think it's very important that we do keep that history alive. Okay,
now finally, it looks like the next government will be made up something of in the region of Fine Gael and Labour. Could be that the case, who knows what will happen. Is there anybody else you would consider going into coalition with apart from Fine Gael after this election?
At the moment, no. I'm concentrating on getting myself elected. I think I'm a very strong candidate. I'm somebody who will speak their mind, and I am somebody who will put myself out there. I've worked extremely hard, I feel, for people for the last 5 years. I think the system that we have at the moment, the two-party Fine Gael Labour, are definitely the best way to continue into the future, and that's the way I'm focusing on.
Right, so you wouldn't go into coalition with Fianna Fáil or Sinn Féin?
At the moment, I think, as I said, on a personal level, I think Fine Gael Labour are the way to go.